Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is the Steve Jones Show on a Tuesday. Matt Catrillo here with you. Steve will soon be there from the Sunbury Motors Studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. And online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai. Great selection of new and pre-owned inventory. And whether you've got the sales staff that is there for you and not just there for the sale, or a fantastic service department with the many awesome technicians ready to serve you with the diagnostics, the inspections, all the routine maintenance, you're going to get a part of the all-important Sunbury Motors guarantee, because all they want to do is to help you save money. That's why they have customers coming back again and again and again. And with that, there's more technicians that are being sought by Sunbury Motors. So whether you got some experience, you're looking for your first job, or even if you're looking for a career change, Sunbury Motors would love to hear from you. They're looking for new technicians to work in their quick lane, car light truck service, heavy truck service, body frame and alignment, and towing departments. You can stop by in person, apply online at sunburymotors.com, or call Todd at 286-7746. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. We got a loaded show on this Tuesday today. We have the Eagles and Yankees Spanish broadcaster Ricky Ricardo back with us at 4:06. I can't wait to have him back. I love his calls. I obviously don't listen live, but I'll go back and just look at what his calls were for the game. And he had some good ones from the Eagles' smashing of the New York Giants on Sunday. So he joins us at 4:06 today. We might get into a little Yankee talk with him from the offseason, ask him about Aaron Judge's contract and all that. We'll see. And we also, either way, we'll be talking baseball today because we had Rob Biertempfel from The Athletic joining us as well. Talk MLB overall, Pirates as well. So he joins us today. And, of course, Neil Coulon from SI.com is back with us today as well with the latest on the Steelers and the NFL. And Mike Tomlin saying today, Kenny Pickett, they're taking everything day to day with Kenny Pickett as far as him and the concussion protocol. If they're able to work him in, they'll work him in. If not, they get ready with Mitch Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. So we all have all that coming up today. And Steve talked about his one time he met Mike Leach, but I'm sure we'll talk more about this today, as he did in fact pass away last night at the age of 61 after what's officially being called complications related to a heart condition. Leach's family said in a statement that he participated in organ donation at the University of Mississippi Medical Center as, quote, a final act of charity. Of course, we mentioned yesterday Leach suffered what the university initially described as a personal health issue at his home, and then he was airlifted to UMMC in Jackson and unfortunately passed away last night at the age of 61. Of course, we'll all remember what he's done for the game as far as his character in press conferences or interviews, but also what he did as far as innovation and coaching and in his air raid offense and all that kind of stuff. So he continues to be remembered across college football today. But definitely some sad news that he didn't make it through, and Mike Leach has now gone at the age of 61. And tough news today for the Arizona Cardinals, and didn't look good last night on the third play from scrimmage. Kyler Murray went down with a non-contact knee injury, and it is, in fact, a torn ACL. So he is now done for the year for the Cardinals. And for the Cardinals, that is now become a very sticky situation because they just gave him that huge contract last year, and now he's got to battle back from this ACL injury. And, of course, there's been reports about maybe he doesn't have the best work ethic, all these types of things. So that is something to keep an eye on. And, of course, Cliff Kingsbury, what kind of seat does he have right now? I wouldn't be shocked to see him gone at the end of the season, but we'll see how things go. I mean, the Cardinals they've looked dreadful all year, but they took another step in that direction last night once Colt McCoy came in. But it's not just the quarterback. They have some offensive line issues. They've had injuries all year, too, in the skill positions. It was ugly for Arizona last night, and they lose their quarterback for the season. And what was the loss to the New England Patriots last night. And you also had this came down in the Big Ten today.
There you go. All right. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes. All right. So I did all my interviews this morning. So
there we go.
I cleared my schedule up for this afternoon. Okay.
Yeah.
So there I did all my interviews this morning.
If that's what we got to do to get some good guests on, that I got to fill in some time for you, that's no problem at all. I got us covered.
All right. Well,
I'm here for the people, and I'm here from our good guests, as Bill Riley was yesterday.
Bill Riley was great, and tomorrow Jack Ham, Tony Knopp.
That's right.
Thursday, Ivan Maisel. Today we got Neil Coulon. We got Ricky Ricardo today.
Oh, yeah.
I always love talking to him anyway. He's so good. I'll ask him a couple of Yankee questions too.
Beautiful.
To get there to go with the Eagles, and let's see who else we're going with today. I think we're going to go with Rob Biertempfel today.
That is correct.
Yes, and we'll get Matt Leon on the show. I guess tomorrow to go with Jack and with Tony.
We could do tomorrow.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, there's never enough Eagles talk.
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
Nah, I think right now, let me be honest with you, there really isn't enough Eagles talk. I don't think right now you can talk about them enough. To be honest with you, I'm just talking about that from a talk show point of view. Yeah, I think that's a fair statement on my part. And you've got to understand who's hot, who makes people talk, who's interested in what's going on. I mean, they should beat the Bears with relative ease, and then it sets up what's a really interesting Christmas Eve game. Do we know what time does that game on Christmas Eve kick off?
That is a 4:25 game on Saturday on Christmas Eve. Yeah. 4:25, and the Fox A crew's got that game, I believe.
All right. Well, that's got the second half written all over it for me. I am going to go to 4:00 mass on Christmas Eve. So, all I got to do, I just give the priest the high sign. I go like, let's move. Go ahead, let's go.
My pastor understands the same thing, so.
No, because Mike Farrelly was talking to me today, and he's talking about because Penn State plays at noon on Sunday, and he said, what are you going to do? I said, geez, Mike, I think I'll go Saturday. Same thing on Christmas Eve, and I told him the same thing in Los Angeles. I said, so now people don't want to hear about when I go to Mass, things like that. We got better show than that. So, like Steve, I could care less you go to Mass. Talk sports. But I've got to, I want to pay tribute to Mike Leach here. And by the way, Mississippi State will play in its bowl game. Okay? The players made the decision that they want to play in the bowl game because they want to honor Mike Leach. So they will play, okay? Just in case you're wondering. They made that decision today. When Mike Leach was between jobs, he was on Sirius XM. And he and so I was a guest on his show, and I think Chris Childers was the co-host. And so the one time I'm on there with him, he starts talking about James Franklin running down the sideline. He says, Steve, I'm watching him. He's sprinting down the sideline. He says, God, the incredible energy. He says, Steve, I did that. I said, you did? He says, absolutely. I go running down the sideline, and all of a sudden I get to about the 30-yard line, boom, and I go flying to the ground. He says, I forgot. He says, I didn't have a wireless headset. He said, the headset yanked me down. He is such a funny guy. Such a funny guy. So here's one of the classic Mike Leach moments when he was at Washington State, and he talked about the battle of mascots in the Pac-12. And it was really one of those really fun, funny moments. Hopefully I've got it here for you so we can bring that up.
I'm going to say the Wildcat's out. The Trojan is the, first of all, what kind of mythical powers does a Sun Devil have? We got to consider that. I'm going to say the Wildcat's out. The Trojan does he have a horse or is he on foot? Does he have a bow and arrow or just his sword? The Bruin definitely formidable. Another bear up there at Cal. The tree, I imagine that tree's going to get chopped down, unless we're going to go with the bird and somebody might get pecked or something. I don't know. The duck might lose interest and just fly away and get out of there, which may be good advice under the circumstances. The husky, no chance. The beaver, we'll see how long that beaver can hold his breath. The ute, again, we're back to, is he on horseback? Does he have a bow and arrow? Did he trade for a rifle? I mean, because if that ute's got a rifle, there's some definite problems. You'd have to get one of those Harry Potter activists to read up on how you kill a Sun Devil, because there's a lot of outside stuff there. Just as far as a beast alone, a buffalo's going to be pretty hard to tangle with. I mean, a buffalo's utterly outstanding. Did I leave any of them out? The Coug will find a way. Clear-minded and crafty, a combination of stay out of harm's way and attack when you get your chances or your openings.
Well, I would have loved to hear him describe what he thinks about the Nittany Lion and the Leprechaun for Notre Dame.
I understand, but again, these were all Pac-12 mascots, and
right.
At the end he's talking about Butch, and Butch is the nickname for the Cougar mascot, Butch the Coug.
Right.
And so, but he's just up there doing this off the top of his head. He was just, like I said, the couple of times I talked to him in my lifetime, when it was done, I was laughing so hard, and I was the guest. I'm the guest, and I'm laughing. He's only 61. And by the way, if you're wondering, the Mississippi State's playing in what used to be the Outback Bowl, the ReliaQuest Bowl against Illinois. So,
and I think that's the right thing to do, because I think he would want them to play the game.
Oh, yeah. And remember, what was his last game as a head coach? They won the Egg Bowl. They beat Ole Miss. So, big loss. He's only 61. Interesting guy. Innovative coach in many ways. Mike Leach. We'll come back with more in a moment. Great to have you with us today. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors. 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Here on 1070 WKOK.
There's something to be said about a sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You could shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.
All right. Great to have you with us today. Sponsored by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. That was the holiday party, by the way. I could not go to the holiday party, just so everybody knows that, all the people that went, there was a reason why I did not go. It's because I was emceeing the football banquet at that time. So
No, it was a lot of fun. It was good. Good food, good drinks, good times.
Always is. It's always well done.
Saw our buddy Steve Engel. He was there. Tom Mertz was there.
Good.
So, yeah, it was a good time.
Hope you explained to them my absence. So, yeah, it's always a good time. It's a little different sitting there with James Franklin talking football instead of watching some nut get up on the table with a lampshade on. And in the process, because of circumstances, breaking the table.
S-U-I-T, that spells Suta!
That is a problem. All right. Just kidding. Just kidding. But no, it's always a good time. You couldn't go last year.
No, I missed last year because I had my own family holiday function, but I was able to go this year, so it worked out.
Yeah.
It was a nice little evening away for Lisa and I, too, so it worked out well.
Oh, good. Good. Argentina leads Croatia 2-0, 69th minute World Cup. Lionel Messi has scored in the match. And he's become the all-time leading scorer for Argentina in the history of World Cup finals and doing it. This is for the Argentine record, by the way. He now has 11 career World Cup goals. So the record is 16, by the way. If you're wondering about Pele has a dozen. It's one ahead of Messi. I brought up Pele to the suit, and he says, I was reading up on this guy, Peel. I'm like, I just can't.
CBS News Brief. The snow's coming down hard in several states across the northern plains and Midwest.
I don't have a four-wheel drive car. I've got a two-wheel drive car. I have my snow tires on, but we still need to be able to get out and get to work and get our kids to school and those types of things as well without the fear of sliding around everywhere, getting stuck.
The southern plains are also seeing heavy rain and possible tornadoes. U.S. Attorney Damian Williams says FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried conned investors to fund his billion-dollar crypto company.
Bankman-Fried and his co-conspirators stole billions of dollars from FTX customers. He used that money for his personal benefit, including to make personal investments and to cover expenses and debts of his hedge fund, Alameda Research.
FTX went bankrupt last month. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm says scientists have created net gain energy from fusion.
This is one of the most impressive scientific feats of the 21st century.
CBS News Brief. I'm Monica Ricks.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is The Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. Which means so much, by the way, to your buying experience. I mean, you need comfort when you're doing this. You have great sales staff to work with, but the Sunbury Motors guarantee when you're going at pre-owned vehicles means so much, and a great service department, right? That backs it all up. Fabulous technicians. They want more technicians as well, without question. Got Ricky Ricardo in the next half hour. Talk about the Eagles, a little bit about the Yankees as well, since he doubles up on the Yankees and the Eagles on the Spanish language broadcast. He's just terrific at what he does. No question. But, yeah. And we have Neil Coulon as well. This is like more of a depressing Pittsburgh day, don't you think?
Well, that's why I booked Ricky, because we can have a lively guy like him, but also talk about the winning football team in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, but we'll get to Penn State later. All right, so let's...
That was nicely done.
There's a reason why I sit in this chair.
I don't deny it.
But, yeah, we have to, obviously... Look, Rob is so good covering the Pirates. You know, that you do have to have him on, because he's just a great pro, what he does. I mean, he's just great. So way back when, we've had all those beautiful young people come on and they talk about what they want for Christmas. Right? Isn't that great? Listening to them.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I got a chance to talk to some of those kids and putting these together. They're fantastic. Years
ago, when he was mini-suit growing up, they did the same thing with him.
I've been looking for you, Big Brother. Will you please write a letter to Santa Claus for me?
Well, I don't have much time. I'm supposed to get down to the school auditorium and direct a Christmas play.
You write it and I'll tell you what I want to say.
Okay, shoot.
Dear Santa Claus, how have you been? Did you have a nice summer? How is your wife? I have been extra good this year, so I have a long list of presents that I want.
Oh, brother.
Please note the size and color of each item, and send as many as possible. If it seems too complicated, make it easy on yourself. Just send money. How about 10s and 20s?
10s and 20s? Oh, even my baby sister.
All I want is what I have coming to me. All I want is my fair share.
Nothing's changed to this day, has it? 40 years ago when he was mini-suit. What do you think? That's your guy. That's who you work with every day. No? 3-0 now, Argentina.
No, senor!
3-0.
No, senor!
I can safely say Croatia, gone. All right, let's bring in Rob Biertempfel. Let's depress the passengers. Let's talk Pirates baseball. Let me guess, you lost Rob's number again.
I don't know what happened. I keep misplacing it. I'm just as bad as the actual Pirates baseball team is.
Oh, you're just cruel. They've gone to as many World Series in the last 13 years as your team has. Tell me I'm wrong. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong. I mean,
no, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
You know what the heck? All right. It's racing. There's nothing like gets the pulse racing in December than good Pirates talk.
With that Green Bay Packers note, though, I know you're just trying to placate Audrey Snyder, the Penn State beat writer from The Athletic. If she's listening, I'm sure she appreciated it. But
it's very important that we mention that. Rob, how you been?
You know, I'm hanging in there. I just came back from a scintillating morning at PNC Park, where we, well, maybe it wasn't, but we got to meet Vince Velasquez, who is going to be your number 5 or perhaps even number 4 starter this year for your Pittsburgh Pirates, and chat with him for a bit. And, you know, I'm just basically trying to keep moving, keep the blood pumping.
Were you surprised in the least, and this is not a Pirates question, it's a baseball and general question, by the amount of money and years that were doled out in San Diego to free agents?
I was not, because we've seen this in the past, coming off of a new CBA. Owners, you know, I guess get a little freewheeling with the spending in that year or so immediately following the passage of a new CBA. And this is kind of the first normal year we've had in a while. The first normal off season, first normal spring in a couple of 3 years. And I think teams, you know, there's a lot of money in this industry right now, and teams are throwing it around a little bit. Some teams, many teams, not my team, but some teams are throwing it around a little bit. And this was also a pretty blockbuster free agent class as well. A lot of big names, and big like Aaron Judge, 12 feet tall, and big like, you know, Jacob deGrom, who's just got a big arm. See, I'm doing that little transition thing too. I'm learning from you, Steve. I'm learning from the best.
Very nice. Well done. It's also one with shortstops. Dansby Swanson and Carlos Correa still have not signed, so it's not over yet. What do you think of the market is with the two of them? Because Correa obviously is thinking high end, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious to see where Swanson goes, just because being a National League guy, well, in the past, back when we had the old schedules that were more National League than not for your club, I got to see him more often. Next year, it's, you play everybody. But I'm kind of curious to see what if the Braves feel a need to counter that somehow, if they do lose him. I think that's something that I can't see it dragging too close to spring training. We're kind of hitting that period traditionally, not always, but traditionally. Once you get around that week before Christmas, I mean, it used to be like an unwritten rule in baseball, as if we need another one, that you don't do any transactions at Christmas time. It was just, at the end of the year, the holidays, New Year's, Christmas, you just shut it down. But now, I mean, a couple of years ago, the Pirates traded Josh Bell on Christmas Eve. As I was doing my tie to get ready for Mass, I got the text that they traded. I'm not going to put my day in an uproar, but I kind of think that those guys, I think will. I don't know. I just think in the situation, there's been so much done so fast over the past couple of weeks. Maybe it goes into the new year, and everybody kind of there's that second round of big signings or bigger signings, and that kind of carries us into spring training.
But when did Catfish Hunter sign with the Yankees? I think it was New Year's Eve.
I think you're right. Yeah. I remember one year the Pirates gave a contract extension to Jason Kendall. And at that point, I was still the backup guy on the team, on the beat. Joe Rutter, our regular beat writer, he was off he was on a trip or something. So they called me. The office calls me and says, "Hey, Kendall is going to get this extension. Could you do something on it? And I was up caroling actually with the neighbors, and there was like 2 feet of snow on the ground, and and I'd had some wassail. I'm not going to lie. I'd had a glass or two of the old wassail, and I hurried home and pulled up Jason's number, and I called him, and we're talking, and he pauses, and he goes, "Hey, man, are you okay?" I explained the situation. He goes, "Oh, what do you want to? I'll tell you anything you want to know. This is outstanding." And he was great. So, good guy, Jason Kendall.
A year ago, we were talking about Bryan Reynolds and how long would he hang with him and so forth. Well, now we're at the crossroads with him. What is the market for Bryan Reynolds, in your opinion?
Boy, there's probably 27 or 28 teams out there that would love to have Bryan. It would make a serious offer. I kind of heard that the Seattle Mariners could be a sneaky team in this whole thing, because they got some decent prospects, and they're kind of like, they had a little success last year, didn't get a lot of traction in the postseason, but I think they could put together a pretty interesting package. The Marlins, of course, have great arms. I think they've said that pretty much everybody in their rotation, with the exception of Alcantara, is available in the right kind of trade. And the Pirates definitely would love some impact pitching. You got to figure the Yankees have always. I know the Yankees scouted him hard already last year, and they probably made some kind of offer to Ben Cherington at the deadline last summer. But Ben was really, at that point, he was kind of in listen-only mode. And it's, it's hard to say for sure where this is going to go now that Bryan has made a trade demand. They've been talking off and on now for a couple of 3 years about trying to extend him. And it, didn't get much traction. And I guess things picked up here over the past couple of months. And, Bryan, he and his agent, he switched agents recently as well. He used to be a Boris guy, and now he's with a different agency. They got a number, and it didn't come anywhere close to what their value, what they see the value is. And so Bryan said, enough of this. We've been dancing here for 3 years. Trade me. And to be honest, I was a little surprised that Bryan issued that demand, because he's a quiet guy in the clubhouse. He's one of those guys who's, when he speaks, it's important. Guys listen to him, but he certainly doesn't seem like a troublemaker or anything like that. But to make a demand like that, he's taking a stand, and I think he's not only taking a stand for himself, but he's obviously got the approval of the players' union on it. And there's a lot of guys in that clubhouse who look at that and say, okay, kind of try to, kickstart an organization that really doesn't like to spend money. So maybe that demand was geared, and the timing of it was geared merely to try to get a last push effort for an extension over the goal line. Or maybe, he just looks at the situation here and realizes, hey, I'm going to be, when that window opens in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be, 30-plus years old, heading into my free agency years. They're not going to bring me back as a free agent. So why don't I try to cut out now and really make some money?
Money, no question. So, I understand that. But doesn't it get to a point where an athlete has enough pride to say, I not only want some money, I want to win?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think that's certainly part of it as well. It's you just see, you see that there's, I think I read something last summer that was, at times it's like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or even vice versa with this club, that they make some gains in some areas, but then they'll kick themselves or do something foolish or show that they're still, mistake prone they sign Quintana, they put him in the rotation, and he's a left-hander, and he's veteran, and he's experienced, and he's doing a good job, and his teammates love him, and then they flip him at the deadline. Yeah. That's always what they do. It's just, you're right. There is kind of a stasis here, And I think some players, they just kind of, I think it was Jason Kendall that remember joking around with us once back in the day. They kind of call it the bucko malaise.
Yeah.
You're kind of here for a while and you realize this is kind of it, and you want to move on to some place where, you do have it's more than just maybe once every 10 or 15 years you have a shot to do something in the playoffs. And it could be every year, that there's no law against that. There's no rule against that.
What do you think of the Santana signing?
I like it. I would like it more if it was 10 years ago. But he seems like, we did a Zoom call with him a couple of days after he signed, and they were, the media relations director sitting in front of the camera saying, "Okay, thanks everybody for showing up." And then you see Santana in the background, and he's kind of dancing, and then he dances and sits down in front of the microphone, and hey guys, it's just a very good, very an infectious personality. And I think that's a lot of what they need. And I've had a couple players. We were talking to 2 or 3 guys last week who were in town for charity events. One of them, Chase DeYoung, the reliever, was saying, that guy, the minute he steps through the door here, he's got more credibility than pretty much anybody in this clubhouse because he's done it and he's been there and he's seen it and he knows how it works. And, we've really seen over the past, going back to 2018, 17, 19, they just don't have that. They have talent in some pieces here and there,
right?
But they don't have a guy who knows how to make it happen, and you need some of that. You need somebody to kind of steer the ship a little bit at times with guys, especially younger guys. Otherwise, you end up with what they had in 2019, which is a divided clubhouse, angry clubhouse, guys pointing fingers, and every guy trying to figure it out on their own and do something individual, but it doesn't really mesh. They need a guy who can kind of knit things together a little bit. So maybe he can be that guy, and maybe with a guy like Vince Velasquez, who's been a couple different places, and he started. And I remember, I guess it was the second game of his career, he struck out like 16, 17 guys with the Phillies, I think, right?
Yes.
And then since then, it's been probably more bad than good, and he's trying to become less of a thrower, more of a pitcher, and that's not always easy to do. Yeah. And so, maybe he can bring some of that sense of, because he's still out there doing it. He's 30-something, 30 years old now, and he's still trying to make that evolution. And I think that's something the guys need to see.
How bad is it when the best story of the offseason is that your team wins the draft lottery?
I was torn about that because, it's you like to cover the team that has the number 1 pick because that's, every possibility is out there, and it can be fun to watch and all that. But then you see, the club posted that video of them in their suite, and the president of the team is walking around high-fiving people like they just won the Super Bowl. There's a reason you were in position to get that pick. It's because you lost 201 games over the past 2 years.
I know.
So, it's like, I think probably on that video, the reaction that struck me the most was Derek Shelton, the manager. He's kind of in the bottom right corner. And when they announce it, he kind of goes, yeah, but then he stands up and kind of puts his hands in his pockets. And that was kind of it. He was kind of like, well, I'm happy we got the number 1 pick, but, let's realize why we're here.
Right, exactly.
And it's not really celebration time yet. We're happy to have the pick, but you really shouldn't celebrate,
the circumstances that created it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right. I'll think you when I'm out at the Rose Bowl. Okay. So.
You're killing me, man. I'm going to be in State College this weekend. My
it's it's commencement.
My older daughter is finally graduating. She was a grad student, so this will be the first one we actually get to attend because her first graduation was wiped out by the plague.
Well, yeah.
And then my younger daughter's graduation was wiped out when she wound up in with appendicitis. So, 6 years and $150,000 later, I'm actually going to see one of my daughters walk across the stage and get a degree. So, if it doesn't snow, please tell me it's not going to snow.
On Saturday? No, Saturday will be fine.
Saturday will be fine. Okay. Well,
Yeah, Saturday's fine here. And that's when yours takes place, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Saturday will be fine. No issues here at all for that. And you could tell it's the $150,000 he'll be driving the AMC Gremlin.
Exactly. Well, you have a good time in Pasadena. I know you're not a Rose Bowl parade guy, but I will think of you as I start my tailgate here in the living room that afternoon.
Sounds great, Rob. We'll talk when the new year rolls around. You're one of the best in the business, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good holiday, everybody. Take care.
Too. Even when talking about a depressing subject such as the Pirates, he does a great job, and that is Rob Biertempfel of The Athletic. We'll come back. We got Ricky Ricardo in the next half hour. Great to have you with us today on WKOK.